गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोधनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोधनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे राम Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Shira Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, युगधर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 4, the characteristics of Rishabdeva, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Text 14. Bhagavan Rishabha Samgnya Atma Tantra Swayam Nitya Nivrittanartha Paramparaha Kevalanandan Anubhava Ishvara Iva Viparitavat Karmanya Arabhamanaha Kalenanuggatam Dharmam Acharenopa Shikshayan Atad Vidam Sama Upashanto Maitra Karuniko Dharmartha Yasha Prajanandan Amrutavarodhena Gruheshu Loka Niyamyat. So what to our meaning? Bhagavan the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rishabha, Rishabha, Samgnaha, named, Atma Tantra, fully independent, Swayam, personally, Nitya, eternally, Nivritta, free from, Anartha, of things not wanted, birth, old age, disease and death, Parampara, the continual succession, one after another, Kevala, only, Ananda Anubhava, full of transcendental bliss, Ishvaraha, the Supreme Lord, the Controller, Eva, indeed, Viparita, but just like the opposite, Karmani, material activities, Arabhamanaha, performing, Kalena, in course of time, Anugatam, neglected, Dharmam, the Varnashrama Dharma, Acharena, by executing, Upashikshayan, teaching, Atatvidam, person who are in ignorance, Sama, equipoise, Upashantaha, undisturbed by the material senses, Maitraha, very friendly to everyone, Karunikaha, very merciful to all, Dharma, religious principles, Artha, economic development, Yasha, reputation, Praja, sons and daughters, Ananda, material pleasure, Amrita, eternal life, Avarodhena, for achieving, Gruheshu, in household life, Lokam, the people in general, Niyamat, he regulated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation: being an incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishabdeva was fully independent because his form was spiritual, eternal, and full of transcendental bliss. He eternally had nothing to do with the four principles of material misery, birth, death, old age, and disease, nor was he materially attached. He was always equipoised and he saw everyone on the same level. He was unhappy to see others unhappy, and he was the well-wisher of all living entities. Although he was a perfect personality, the Supreme Lord and Controller of all, he nonetheless acted as if he were an ordinary conditioned soul. Therefore, he strictly followed the principles of Varnashrama Dharma and acted accordingly. In due course of time, the principles of Varnashrama Dharma had been neglected. Therefore, through his personal characteristics and behavior, he taught the ignorant public how to perform duties within the Varnashrama Dharma. In this way, he regulated the general populace in householder life, establishing them to develop religion and economic well-being and to attain reputations, sons and daughters, material pleasures, and finally eternal life. By his instructions, he showed how people could remain householders and at the same time become perfect by following the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Purport: the Varnashrama Dharma is meant for imperfect, conditioned souls. It trains them to become spiritually advanced in order to return home back to Godhead. A civilization that does not know the highest aim of life is no better than an animal society. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Nate vidu sartha gatim na vishnum. A human society is meant for elevation to spiritual knowledge so that all of the people can be freed from the clutches of birth, death, old age, and disease. The Varnashrama Dharma enables human society to become perfectly fit for getting out of the clutches of Maya. And by following the regulative principles of Varnashram Dharma, one can become successful. In this regard, see Bhagavad Gita 3.21 to 24. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamavyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishave Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha kalpa tarubhrascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktarvinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yatkrupatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So we are reading this chapter 4, the characteristics of Rishabdev, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this was especially talking about the characteristics of the Lord and what is the purpose for which he has descended. We know like Rishabdev parents are Nabhi and Meru Devi, from whom he took birth, and when King Nabhi, when he saw that Rishabdev was qualified to take care of his kingdom, and even the praja or the people who are there are also willing to get ruled by the Rishabdev, then King Nabhi thought it's the right time for me to give this responsibility to him and take to go to the forest and do tapasya. So he gave all his responsibilities, kingdom, to the Rishabdev, and he left both with the wife Meru Devi, and they did severe austerity, and finally they attained the Vaikuntha. Since they are pure devotees, they were meditating on the Lord Vishnu and in the Badrikashram, and they attained the Vaikuntha planets. And here we see Rishabdev, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, because we have already seen this, like, when King Nabhi wanted a son like a Lord, but Lord says, there is no one equal to me. So it is difficult to have a son like me. So other than that, no one can replace this position, so I will only come as your son. So in this we can clearly say that Rishabdev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And Rishabdev, he was for some period of time, he was following this brahmacharya ashram. Then later, when he got this kingdom, so he has to rule the whole world. So he got married to Jayanti, right? Wife is there in the Bhagavatam. So then he he entered into the grahastha ashram. Then he taught how to perfect our life being in a household life. So here if you see this sloka talks mainly about some of the characteristics of the Lord, and later how Rishabdev has established the principles of varnashrama dharma which were neglected. So we see in the 4 yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali Yuga. So in the initial stages, like in the starting of Kali Yuga, everyone was following this dharma, varnashrama dharma very nicely. When it comes to in due course of time, it was slowly, it was degrading. So that's what it says, like in due course of time, the principle of varnashrama has been neglected. So and people were not at all following any dharma. So even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, so to re-establish the dharma, he generally incarnates. So Rishabdev is one of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who came to re-establish this neglected dharma. They were not focusing on this varnashrama dharma. So, and we know, like Lord's incarnation are unlimited. So it is compared with the ocean, like waves in the ocean. It is difficult to count the waves in the ocean, even though if you are there whole day standing over there. So like that, Lord incarnations are unlimited. But in the scriptures, that all the incarnations which are there, like it is difficult to count all the incarnations, but which are the incarnations are being noted, they have been divided into 6 categories. So based on the avatars. So here this Rishabdev in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, it is mentioned that he is a literary incarnation. One of the is like we know, like Vyasadeva also literary incarnation, and even Kapila, he also gave that Sankhya philosophy, and even Dattatreya was also giving this kind of philosophy. So here Rishabdev, he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also came to give this philosophy. So in local terms we can say he is a philosophy avatar. So he gave this teachings of this varnashrama dharma and how to perfect our life. So we see, like these 6 all the 6 avatars which are there. So whenever Lord incarnates, so it falls under one of these avatars, and these are clearly mentioned in the Vedas. So in so and so period, so Lord is going to appear. So past, present and future, everything, the incarnations of the Lord is being noted down. So nowadays we see, like this avatar word is very famous, like so, and it became so famous not only in India, all over the world, by a movie called Avatar. But unfortunately, the what we say, I don't know Lord how he inspired to give this name, but unfortunately in that movie there was no discussion or any moments of showing about the Lord Krishna, glorification about Lord Krishna. But there are some materialistic things were there and given this name called Avatar. But now this word is very familiar, but we see nowadays people so-called, they claim themselves a god, so they say, like I am an avatar, right? But we see, means they're all the cheaters generally. So we see like Lord incarnations are being noted in the scriptures, and what time when he will come. So if someone says like I am avatar, then if it is not there in the scriptures that he so and so is not avatar, then we should not accept it. And moreover, you can see here some of the qualities of avatar has been given in this sloka. So here it is said, being an incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishabdev was fully independent because his form was spiritual, eternal and blissful, full of transcendental bliss. He eternally had nothing to do with the four principles of material misery: birth, death, old age and disease. So this is a clear indication of an avatar. These are the qualities of avatar. If someone says like I am avatar, then we can see either he is a dependent or independent. Means we can see like if he is going through these kind of four miseries of the material world, then we can easily say that he is not an avatar. So some or the other way he is dependent. The so-called God in this material world, they are dependent on other things to sustain themselves. They are dependent on the food, and to take care of their body, like when they have some tooth pain, some other pains, they are dependent on the doctor, and forcibly they are being given this old age disease, and death is like like they can't escape from it. So when these persons are so much dependent on all these things, and still they are claiming themselves as a god, then we can say that no, they are the cheaters. So we see Rishabdev was having all these kind of godly qualities, like he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by birth he has these kind of qualities. Not that he meditated and he did tapasya and he got it and he became a lord. It's not like that. So-called people, they say like I am Narayana, you are also Narayana, but it takes time for you to become a Narayana. It's not like that. So there are some marks from which we can understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the Rishabdev's feet, we can see the same marks which are there on the Krishna. So these are also some of the indications that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who can beget 100 children? So Rishabdev was having 100 children. Who can beget 100 children nowadays, and who will maintain them? So Lord himself like I am the father of all the living entities. Aham bija patapita. So with this we can say like yes, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And nor he was materially attached. So whenever Lord comes, some people says that he takes the form which is made up of material like us. No, that is wrong. So his body is completely spiritual, eternal and transcendental, full of bliss. It's not like us. So we are like Asat, Achit and Nirananda. Our bodies are like made up of like material elements, but Lord's body is not like that. Even though he may look like a body like us, but it is not that his body is made up of these material elements. No. So this is one of the biggest misunderstanding what people have. So it's not like Lord take form like us. No, we take form like a Lord in 200 form. So we are the part and parcel of the Lord. So we inherit some of the qualities of the Lord. So this was a little misunderstanding. And even though he comes in this material world, but he is not having any attachment to this material world. So in Bhagavad Gita 3.23-24, this sloka's reference has been said in this purport to go through. In that it is clearly mentioned, Krishna says that we can go through that actually. Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga. Yeah, it starts with that. Yeah. So text 22 it says, O son of Partha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the 3 planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So this clearly says that when Lord comes, he is not bound by all these kind of material activities. So, but he is free and he is not comes under this laws of nature, like you have to be, and we take the birth as per our karma, but Lord doesn't take birth as per any karma. So he has his own desire, whenever he want he can come. So and but Krishna says that nor I have any need to obtain anything, but yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So it clearly says that if generally Lord comes to set an example to follow, how to follow the dharma, and even if you see, like here also it is mentioned. It is although he was a perfect personality, the supreme lord and controller of all, he nonetheless acted as if there was an ordinary conditioned souls. So Lord comes, but he has acted as a normal conditioned soul, like us. But it's not that we can compare him with ourselves. Like he is also suffering and he is also going through all these material miseries. No. But even though if you see, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is called Gupta Avatar. So he is a supreme personality of Godhead, but yet he was acted as a devotee of the Lord. And someone says, like you are the supreme personality of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to close his eyes, ears, that he don't want to hear that. So means it is a example what they are setting actually. So and people follow the great personalities. So in the next sloka, the same thing is there. So whatever action is performed by a great man, common man follows. The same sloka is also there in Bhagavad Gita also. So it is said the great persons, like he's a king. So he has to follow, he has to set an example, and he has to give an show to his common public that how to follow these all the dharma and regulative principles. Or else if you create a rule saying that you follow this, and the person who has created the principles or the rules, he himself doesn't follow, then is not a right example. He is not a what we call a leader who is setting an example. So to establish that, to teach his praja, so he was acting as an ordinary person, even though he is a king and even though he is a supreme personality of Godhead, but he is acting as an ordinary person, and he was following all these rules just to teach the common public, like how to rightly or how to follow these rules and regulations and make our life perfect. So therefore he strictly followed the principles of varnashram dharma and acted accordingly. In due course of time, the principle of varnashrama has been neglected. So since that is being neglected, now also we can see, so this varnashrama dharma, before people were following somehow, but now no one is following. Now they like they are against this varnashrama dharma, saying that why you are dividing the people, why you are categorizing the people, all are equal, everyone has their independence and they can do whatever they want. So we can see when these kind of misunderstandings are controllers or not there over the people, and they are being given this kind of independence, we can see how the society is in chaos. So everyone wanted to do their own stuff. No one is following, no one want to listen to anyone. Even though government is there, but it is forcing to follow the rules and regulations, but people are not happy with that. But when it comes to varnashrama dharma, when it is there and people are being engaged based on their nature, so there will be always peace and tranquility. If it is not there, then there will be chaos and there is no progress in the society. There will be always fights between or misunderstandings, or there will be a lot of people who are thinking, what is there in me? How can I get benefited? So people, they think only about themselves, but not for the something good for the benefit for the society, something benefit to the society. They don't think in that way. They will be always selfish. They will be always selfish. So this varnashrama dharma is neglected at that time. So Rishabdev, he also comes in the 9th Manu. So Rishabdev incarnates in the 9th Manu of the every day of Brahma. So Rishabdev, came to just re-establish this varnashrama dharma, and he wanted to personally follow it and set an example so that people can follow it. So therefore, through his personal character and behavior, he taught the ignorant public how to perform duties within the varnashrama dharma. In this way, he regulated the general populace in householder life and enabling them to develop religion and economic well-being and attain reputation, sons and daughters, material pleasure, and finally eternal life. So generally people are behind these kind of things actually. So religion, economic development, and material pleasures, but they are not able to get it because they are not following the process, and they are willing to have these all. So it is difficult to get it. So when you are following the procedure what is prescribed as per the varnashrama dharma, and you fall into those categories and you strictly follow them, then these kind of results which are being given automatically will come. You will have very good family with very cultured kids, daughters, sons you will be having, and by cooperation of the family, they all can do their duties very nicely. If not, even though in the Rishabdev's 100 sons also we have seen how these 100 sons, even though they are born from a Kshatriya family, but you can see different as per their nature they are being divided. So 80 of his sons were Brahmanas, and 9 were Mahabhagavatas, and 11 was the rulers, Kshatriyas. So it was divided like that. So it is because of their nature, not that by the birth. If you divide as per the birth, even though I'm born in a Prabhupada gives this example, a judge's son cannot become a judge until unless he becomes a qualified. So similarly here, a Brahmana's son, until unless he is got qualification of a Brahmana, he can't be called as a Brahmana. But we can say he has a very favorable environment where he can get trained as a Brahmana. So judge's son can be trained to become a judge. By his father can train him to become a judge in the future. But we can't say that his son is a judge because he is not trained. Similarly, here people, this kind of division is done based on the nature of a person, not by their birth. So the example is Rishabdev's example is the best. So he divided based on their nature of the sons. They are being engaged in the same way. So he set in this example very nicely, and by his instructions he showed how people could remain householders and at the same time become perfect by following the principles of varnashrama dharma. So if someone taking to this householder life, so in the further we can see teachings of Rishabdev, the next chapters, there it is clearly given a householder what he should be done, and those kind of instructions very nicely in the teachings he has given in the further chapters, and like this Rishabdev is setting example how to follow this varnashrama dharma. So actually it is easy when you follow the rules and regulations of the varnashrama dharma, and even though Srila Prabhupada also says this, like in the future, like many people will turn up to varnashram dharmas, so we should have this system, and Daivi varnashram system, and so many disciples of Prabhupada are establishing this varnashrama system, and it takes quite time for that to re-establish, to get those kind of pure changes, like there should be a pure brahmana in the society who can guide the society. There should be kshatriyas who can take care of the society. So like that it takes some time, because now we are not in that pure level, we are like mixed. So to get a good kind of that kind of people, so we should follow this samskaras also, and follow the principles of varnashrama dharma, then we can nicely establish this varnashrama dharma. And this was a Prabhupada desired to have varnashrama dharma, varnashrama society, so that people can nicely engaged in the devotional service as per their nature. So and finally they can achieve this eternal life, so they can go back home, back to Godhead. So or else it will be difficult. So people stay taken this form of human beings, but if they don't take up to this higher cause, so but simply they just go through their life, so they are just simply wasting their human form of life, so like animals. So it's very important, these teachings of Rishabdev will help us in understanding this varnashrama dharma very nicely. So with this I will just pause today's class. So any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for nicely describing varnashrama and the importance of that. So as you rightly mentioned, so no varnashrama and everyone is at the same platform, it means chaotic situation, because without that it will not work. And Prabhupada also gives this point that they might say that everyone is equal, everyone is on equal platform, but still they have a chairman in that particular forum. So you need to have someone to lead. And as you rightly mentioned, varnashrama is based on the nature and training, not by birth. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam. Thank you for the class. Some nice points which I have taken today, as said by you. Rishabdev came to establish the Varnashram Dharma. In one of the previous verses it was mentioned, he also came to give relief to his devotees from spiritual anxiety, Nabhi and his mother, Merudevi. So, in fact, for all the incarnations, it is practically the same. They come to give people paritranaya sadhunam and establish varnashram dharma. So, you mentioned that avatar is above the laws of material nature. If somebody is inflicted in the laws of material nature, they cannot be avatar. So, this is a good litmus test for all avatars. Although Rishabdev, he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he was acting like a conditioned soul. So from this we can conclude that Lord relishes this human rasa. So it is something which he is not relishing all the time, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he becomes a boar, he relishes the boar rasa. When becomes human being, he relishes human rasa. When he becomes fish, so Lord is he is the fountainhead of all rasas. So he likes to relish, he likes to act. So he is the supreme actor. You were mentioning that leadership, how important it is. So leadership, you mentioned Rishabdev was trying to inspire the people because the Varnashram system had become neglected. So leadership is all about inspiration, and that is not possible until one does it themselves and show. Apani Achari Prabhu Sikhayu Sabane. So Rishabdev was personally, although he has got nothing to do with these laws of material nature and Varnashram and human society as such, but he is personally following just to teach everybody very nicely. I liked one point which Srila Prabhupada meant in the beginning of the purport, that Varnashram is meant for the rectification of the conditioned soul. So the goal of life is to please Lord Vishnu. So that is the rectification of the conditioned soul. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for this class. So I took some of the points, which is avatar. Avatar means it's a fully independent. By appearing, he has all qualities. It's not like doing tapasya and get it. That's an important point. And you said that we take form like a god. So yes, and I heard this from Srila Prabhupada also. In the Bible also it mentioned man made after God. So the same thing. And then if not followed the Varnashrama Dharma, there is only chaos. There is no progress in the society. So I feel like we also should follow the same thing, because now we are establishing a society, but we are in toddler state. But still we have to follow what the hierarchy has been given, and if we do that properly, then our society also will be a healthy society. So I just correlated. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for the nice class. So this point you mentioned to check whether a person is avatar or not. So first thing, it should be mentioned in the scriptures. So to know whether it is mentioned in the scriptures, I have to open the book and read it. So first thing I have to do that. And then avatar is completely beyond the material conditions of birth, death, old age and disease. And the most important point which I liked from this is, so even Lord himself, he only came to set an example how to live a life. So similarly, even I get some service, so I have to set an example. So that's what I'm learning from this class. I have to do properly whatever service I have given, and set example also. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, हमने बताया कि अगर भगवान खुद आ रहे हैं तो ये मेटेरियल वर्ल्ड में, बट उनका बॉडी जो होता है सच्चिदानंद विग्रह होता है, और एक ऋषभदेव आके वो खुद ही लाड़े, बट वो वर्णाश्रम धर्म फॉलो करेंगे, हमको सिखा रहे हैं कि हमको भी वर्णाश्रम धर्म फॉलो करना चाहिए। और अगर कोई भगवान बोल रहा है तो हमको ये पहले देखना है कि वो स्क्रिप्चर में है क्या, भगवान अवतार है क्या। ठीक है, अगर भगवान है तो डिपेंड है, इंडिपेंडेंट है, तो डिपेंड है तो भगवान कैसे हो सकता है।
Prabhuji, I have one question. Like you mentioned, Prabhupada wanted to follow us Varnashrama Dharma. But now in this age, even like we have Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. But now in this age, that whoever has the mentality, even Brahmana or Kshatriya, he had to follow that path of Shudra by going to job and something. So if like someone like us who has Vaishya mentality, then how he will fit himself in Varnashrama Dharma, like instead of going to Shudra level?
So as a society, we should also have this kind of varnashrama dharma. It's very important. But in one other class I heard, even if a sannyasi, when it comes to devotional service, he is ready to take a Shudra post and do some cleaning also of the temple. Not that when he does that service, he is categorized as a Shudra, but his position as a sannyasi is remains sannyasi. So means at a particular time, whenever he is needed, that has to be done, executed for devotional service. So if you see the devotees also being going for the work and working under some company, under some person, means it's a Shudra quality or Vaishya quality. But that was a training being given, and we are not completely dependent on the Lord for that. But the devotees, when they are working, their mentality should be I am working for the Lord's pleasure. Krishna says to Arjuna that you fight. He never said give up your Kshatriya quality. He said do bhakti, take japmala and chant Hare Krishna. He didn't say that. But at that time it is required to fight to re-establish the dharma. So he said you fight remembering me. So when we are also working, so when you work like this, when you do like this, then you are not comes under the Shudra level, because your consciousness is high, you are thinking about the Lord, then it comes under Brahmanical quality. So always thinking of the Lord, remembering the Lord, so it's a very great qualities. So when we are working, when we are doing, if you think I am doing for my own pleasure, then it's like we are losing this one. So when you work thinking that I am working for the Lord's pleasure, and whatever results comes, I am not attached to it, and whatever comes I just use in devotional services. And for my responsibility, I have a family, I have a responsibility, so I will use for them, and I use some amount for the devotional activities, then it is right. And we can see some of the sannyasis, they are strict in this also. Like especially Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, when someone is taking Brahmanical initiation, he says to give up everything. He should not work under anyone. So Maharaj is very strict in that. Until unless if you are not ready to give up all your occupational duties, like especially like working under some company, in a company, so Maharaj is not going to give like initiation, second initiation, because that is the right example actually. So if you are taking to Brahmanical initiation, means you are becoming Brahmana. Now what is the qualities of a Brahmana? Phatan, Patan, Yajan, Rajan. So he has to do that. So he has to read the scriptures, he has to teach the scriptures to others. So like that, Maharaj is also into form this one, Varnashrama Dharma. He develops this form community, and where he gives them opportunity also. Not that he says that no, until unless you don't give up your job, I will not give second initiation. And if people are ready, they are given up their jobs and all, then where they are going to get a shelter? So Maharaj developed this farm community, and he accommodates them as per that. Now he has built so many temples. So after second initiation, what you are supposed to do? Read, do deity worship, engage in deity services. So you are qualified for that. So you are meant to do that. So Maharaj engages them all in this way. So in that way, slowly I am saying that's what we are in contaminated state. We are not came to the pure Varnashrama level. So it takes some years. So now it is initiative has been taken. So slowly people comes, then when they follow the samskaras and Varnashrama dharmas, so slowly the next 2-3 generations, this Varnashrama dharma can be established very strongly. So but for that we have to, for 2-3 generations we have to continue like this, and we have some things we have to give up. So that strictly we have to give up, even though it is how much ever it is necessary, so that has to be given up. So slowly, even though we see this retirement life for a devotee is very much important. So how long you will be, whole life you will be just working. So you have to somehow, like how King Nabi did it. So he felt it is now time for me to give all my responsibilities to my son, and then they take out some time for their devotional activities. That is Vanaprastha. So that has to be done. So or else it will be difficult. We can't categorize them devotees working means they are Shudras. But if they don't have this kind of understanding that no, I am working for pleasure of the Lord and remembering the Lord, if they are missing this, then they will be entangled and they will be like a Shudras only.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very nice class where you mentioned that why Rishabdev incarnated on this planet, because to protect, like to spread the teachings of the Varnashram Dharma and to protect our life, and how to accept avatars so that it should be given in the scriptures, it should be bona fide, and avatars have a spiritual form, so they are not subjected to birth, death, old age, disease like normal people. Lord's body is spiritual, and then people should be engaged based on the nature. Then there will be peace and tranquility in the society. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for nice class. So you told regarding that avatar, so those are like out of these four miseries and independent natures, and also we have to confirm like according to scriptures we should like confirm as avatars. But nowadays I'm just relating to these items to impersonalists. Sometimes they are telling as a I am also God. So as per like one day also Ajit Prabhu told like there will be some symbols and all for to know recognize like who is God. Just then first we have to ask them these questions. Those are telling I am also God. Like what are the symbols you have? Can you show me? So that I will clarify myself like you are Lord or not. Yeah, the second points you told like regarding the Varnashrama Dharma is the Rishabh they've established, like the if they will follow they will get the peace kind of things in these societies. And also people should qualify according to their Varnashrama Dharma, like you given that Brahmana who is birth, you have to be qualified as a Brahmana according to the scripture, like Patan you have to do these activities. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hey Prabhuji, thank you so much for a very nice class. First, you prove the fact that Rishabdev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he came here for a reason to establish this system of Varnashram Dharma. You proved how important this is. When the Lord comes down to set up something like this, it is something very important for us to follow. And you spoke about the qualities of the different avatars, how they are fully they are independent, they have a transcendental body, hence they have no conception of birth, death, old age, and disease. They are not bound by any material activities. And then towards the end, you spoke about how Rishabdev himself followed the rules and regulations of the Varnashrama system, how he made it set an example for the householders to peacefully follow the Varnashrama system. You explained how Varnashrama is very beneficial for the society, how the end result will be peace and tranquility, how people will work according to their nature and not their birth, and how eventually it will lead to cooperation between the people, and people have be concerned about one another, and that is what this world needs now. And the final statement that Prabhupada himself desired this system to be established. So that is what is important for our society. One system is something that we, as a society, as the entire society of Krishna consciousness, must set an example for the world. We must first develop this system and then show the world that yes, this is what we need in this time of emergency. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Rishabdev categorized the children according to their qualities. That's a great thing. Now, every parent should give their children this chance. Many a time they are not getting this chance. I am one of them. That's why. And this brother was telling that he is, I mean, many of them are obliged to do this Shudra work. But in my life, what I felt is, if you have real love for the God and ready to do with surrender, He will pick you up and bring to that position where you are always in duty for the God. That is really miraculous. Just be in love with the God. This happened. This happened to me. For total surrender, total devotion, then the Varnashrama Dharma will come to you. God will select. That's what I wanted to tell you.
Jai.